So just to say a big welcome, thank you for joining us this afternoon. I'm Sarah Mears, I'm Programme Manager for Libraries Connected, and I'm joined today by my colleague Emma Daniel, who's doing all the techie stuff, and also Lucy Banks, who's from ASCEL and who's going to be doing a Q&A at the end of the session as well. So we have speakers for the first part of the session, and if you have any questions for any of them, do put the questions in the chat, and then at the end Lucy will be harvesting those questions and asking them of either everyone or particular speakers depending on what the question is. If you could keep your mics off during the presentations just so they're not distracting for the speakers. And also we will be recording today's session so we can share it afterwards. So if you don't want to be on camera, feel free to turn your camera off, but it's always lovely to see people's faces when people are talking as well, so you're not talking into a blank screen. So I wanted to organise today's session because just after the general election, Nick Sirota, as you may remember, said, "We need to ensure that all children everywhere have access to the inspiration and joy that culture and creativity bring for their benefit and ultimately as they grow into happier, healthy and more productive adults for ours." And it just made me think, yeah, of course. And actually libraries are doing all sorts of amazing things around culture, creativity and play for our youngest children. And we thought it would be a good opportunity to share that, but also to think about what more can we do? You know, how can we really capitalise on that? I always remember a colleague said to me when I was working for Essex Libraries, and I often say it, don't you realise that when a child's in a rhyme time, it's their first experience of being an audience member, that first experience not only of the speech and language and communication and all the things that they benefit from in rhyme time, but also they're learning how to be part of a cultural event and cultural activity. So I think libraries do an amazing amount in terms of culture and art and play for early years, and we're going to hear about some of those things today. And we're going to start with Evie Keough from Boromi. And I first met Evie when she just won a Teach First Innovation Award in 2017, I think it was, wasn't it, Evie?
It was.
And Boromi's gone from strength to strength since then, and it's been amazing to kind of really catch up with her. She did come and speak to ASCEL very early on, and I know that she's been doing work in libraries that you'll hear about, but we thought it'd be lovely to share what Evie's been doing. So over to you, Evie.
Thank you. Thanks, Sarah, for the introduction and for hosting this event as well. I'm just going to share my screen with you all, which hopefully should work. Great. Shout if you can't see. I'm Evie. It's great to be here. As you've already heard, I'm founder of an organisation called Boromi, and in a nutshell, we are an award-winning, evidence-based national network of play. And we're all about nurturing and advocating for early outcomes through building more opportunities for hands-on, language-rich, shared family offline play within the spaces and places that families already are every day. And I'm here to talk to you today about our pop-in community play libraries and how we have piloted and developed these in partnership with Leicestershire Libraries over the past couple of years. So just quickly, as an organisation, we exist for three reasons. The first of those being that we know that strong foundations really matter. As Sarah has already touched on so far, 90% of our brains are developed by the age of 5. And those earliest experiences shape the adults that we go on to become and the contributions that we make within our communities and society. We never learn more or faster than we do over those first 5 critical years. But secondly, we know that the positive interactions and language and playful experiences that we have over that time is the rocket fuel that really helps our brains to develop and grow. And furthermore, our third reason is that we know that from the moment a child is born, they are learning anywhere and everywhere they go. It isn't just about supporting families within their home environment to play. We're really passionate as an organisation about building that infrastructure around a family through their local community and thinking about that joined up network of support to really build that infrastructure of play, as I've said, in the places and spaces that they already are every day. My background is an early years teacher. And that's how Boromi came about, through an innovation award, as Sarah's mentioned. And we first launched our school play libraries in 2018, and we've been running within primary schools for about 6 years now, which are the red pins that you can see on the map. I've also linked just here an impact report from our schools play library programme, where you can read a little bit more about the impact that we've already seen upon early language and communication, social and emotional development, as well as parental confidence and knowledge to support that early development, in addition to the overall quality of the home learning environment. However, we know that working in silos with a school alone is never going to be enough, and is a huge missed opportunity to really harness the potential of other community settings doing fantastic work with families, such as community hubs and libraries, especially when we think about reaching families with children under the age of 4, where we know the window for impact is greatest. So in 2022, we had funding from Leicestershire County Council, and we used that to partner with Leicestershire Libraries to explore and pilot what a community model of our school play libraries programme could look like, with a key driver behind that being, how can we really be supporting families with children from birth, like truly from birth? So this led to the development of our community pop-in play libraries, which are freely available play libraries with our play bags, as you can see on the slide, that families can pop into the library setting and use on a day and time that is suitable for them. It's in situ within a library setting, and as I mentioned, each bag covers 5 age bands from newborn to primary, which you can see are newborn, infant, toddler, preschool and primary. So using one resource within that bag and showing how you can use it in different ways depending on the age or ages of the children that you're there with. Within each bag, as you can see, we've got 4 play principles, 4 themes of bags that run throughout all the work that we do. They're very much at the core of us as an organisation and what we our kind of play philosophy. And within each of those bags, we have our resource alongside a storybook and a parental handbook as well. And that handbook is showing ideas of things that you can play with that bag in that moment, but also how you can play a similar activity again at home using everyday bits and bobs that you've got around the house or out and about around you, such as spoons, shoes, leaves, whatever it might be. As well as key vocabulary and guidance around how to enjoy that storybook together, not necessarily opening up the cover and reading the book, all the plethora of ways that you can enjoy a story together as a parent and child, or a caregiver and child. Just to share a little bit about feedback from our library supervisors. So we initially piloted this with 3 libraries in Leicestershire, Colville, Hinckley and Market Harborough in 2022. And we really worked closely in collaboration to trial and review a number of elements, such as the ability to support from birth, which I talk about, not from 10 months or 18 months, but right from those first few weeks of life. Early impact on families, logistics for settings, materials and resources, as well as accessibility. So a really thorough kind of 2-stage pilot process, and looking at how we can, that current family offer that already existed within the library, and how can we add value to that? How can we enhance what is already there as part of that kind of greater ecosystem? And the feedback was really positive. I won't talk through what's on the slide, but really exciting impact results, where we were seeing 67% of families reported that they visited specifically to play with the play libraries, which I'll come on to in a little bit, visited the setting, and also families staying longer, in addition to, as it mentioned on the slide, kind of better being able to meet the needs of the local families and increase time spent playing and talking together, and adding to that kind of family offer for the libraries. But in addition to impact, we also, as I mentioned, looked a lot into logistics and practicalities, which are also incredibly important when thinking about a sustainable programme over time. So just to quickly touch on 3 bits here. The workload. So understandably, this was one of the main concerns when we kind of pitched this idea, is adding to that already busy plate that we can all empathise with. But over the initial pilot, all library supervisors from the 3 settings found it was really manageable within their current workload. And that was also supported by the second pilot, where 76% of settings shared that it was 10 minutes or less over a week to maintain their play library, which was fantastic. The other 2 elements, just quickly, because I don't want to run over time and I want to have time for the remaining couple of slides. the resources just around how suitable they were from birth and that they were robust. And also there's no charge for elements that get broken or gone missing, which I can share more about in follow-up information that I will share after this. Thirdly, with smart hours, 2 of the libraries ran smart hours, and this was something that we discussed at length around how would this play library idea work within a smart hour context. And initially the libraries removed them during that time, but then over time they actually decided to leave them out once that offer had been established. And that then became part of that open offer that families could access during smart hours time very successfully. In terms of family feedback, just to share again a few headlines from this that I've touched on. So 97% of families staying longer at the setting due to the play library being in place, and 2 out of 3 parents that we surveyed were visiting specifically to play with the play library, but then we know from anecdotal feedback were then going on to engage with other facilities and other opportunities within the setting as well. It's great that 100% of families recommended it, but also what we really want to see is that play it again, that 94%, that it gave them ideas of things that they can go on and play again, that sustained impact over time. I've just got a few quotes here on this slide that I will let you have a little look through, and also the photos as well. But really great positive feedback from families, which is really exciting to see. And as I said, we initially piloted in 3 libraries in 2022. But we're really proud now, kind of following that initial pilot, that we've rolled out within 16 libraries within Leicestershire. And Leicestershire libraries are also on this call. I'm going to shortly hand over to Sarah, who will talk a little bit more about how it fits within their broader offer and how it's become part of their family offer, and thinking kind of about that more strategic long-term plan from their individual kind of context and perspective. But just to share my last slide, we have an evaluation report we've pulled together about this kind of 2-stage pilot process with the pop-in community play libraries. I will share this to hopefully that we can circulate with you all after, because it shares a lot more about the kind of impact and findings that we found and the questions that we were analysing and evaluating against. And it gives you more information as well about how it all works and what it all looks like. But just to put it out there, we are now rolling this out kind of nationally. It is something that is available as of this autumn, and we're actively looking for settings that do you feel like this is something that would fit as part of their family offer, and would like to either find out more or talk to us about what a play library in their context could look like. So if it's something that you are interested in or maybe of interest, there's a QR code on the slide, or there's the link there, the bit.ly link, which is just Boromi_libraries connected, which will take you to a form that you can just share your details, and I'll get in touch and follow up, because it would be great. We're very much on a journey with this, but it would be brilliant to hear from anyone that might be interested. I believe I'm just within time, so I will hand over now to Sarah Coulson, who is going to share a bit more about Leicestershire libraries.
Thanks, Evie. Emma, are you okay to share our slides for us, please?
Work out how to stop sharing mine. Sorry, I think we get to the.
I think I've stolen it from you, so.
Thank you.
Thanks, Emma.
No problem.
So yeah, good afternoon. We are Culture Leicestershire, so we're heritage, libraries, collections, learning and participation. We're all working together in partnership for our communities. And I'm going to have a quick introduction. I'm delivering this presentation with 2 of my colleagues here today, Rachel Hill, who coordinates children's activity, including stock and programming, a librarian alongside me, Steph Strange, community participation worker, who coordinates cultural projects across our settings. You've met Evie, who's currently one of our partners that we're working with Boromi, and then myself, Sarah Coulson, who predominantly does adult work, but engages with programming and externally funded projects. Could we have the next slide, please, Emma? Thank you. So as you can see, we are a large authority with a wide range of sites, and we value working together to achieve mutual outcomes for our communities. We like to share good practice and opportunities, and it allows growth and innovation. Yeah. And as well as our departmental networks, we're fortunate to have a wide range of local and regional partners that support our audience reach and respond to community needs. Yeah, next slide, please. So who are we? We're Culture Leicestershire. Website links throughout this page if you want to find out more about us. We deliver a diverse, inclusive, accessible and engaging cultural offer. We've got a focus on health and wellbeing, great communities, improving opportunities and helping to bring a strong local economy. We're also a national portfolio organisation that we're very proud of. So again, we've got strategic outcomes for the County Council, Arts Council, England, Let's Create strategy. We've got a shared vision. We don't work in isolation. We work together to benefit our communities. And as part of our library service, we're large. We've got 16 council-run libraries, 35 supported community-managed libraries, 3 mobile libraries. And our focus for 2022 to 2025, the library's roadmap, had a strategic focus on family-friendly spaces. And of course, we use the universal offers and the children's promise to guide that area of development delivery. We recognise the importance of early years opportunities to build positive key foundations for continued skills development throughout life. And as one of our partners always tells me now, I've kind of adopted it as my own phrase, early years is where it's at. We have the next slide, please. So I've just put an image on the slide. I'm sure you'll recognise pretty much everything within that image as what libraries deliver. We deliver a vast amount. We invest in staff to embed good practice, knowledge and skills. Our staff are front facing, so they're key. Obviously books as well for the early years offer. And we've widened our network of partners to share mutual outcomes and build in sustainability and opportunities for our customers in library spaces. We have partners such as our Leicestershire Adult Learning team who support our Book Start Storytime prize offer, and they deliver extension offers of parent storytime fun courses. They're delivered in libraries. We deliver our Book Start offer in coordination with our Children's and Families team, and we communicate across our partners for a seamless offer. Can we have the next slide, please? So some of our external partners, they're crucial to us for bringing new ideas, resources and reach, but also utilising skills and experience. We are forward-looking, we like to adapt and change to respond to our community need, and we've got a key strategic overview for sustainability. So as Evie mentioned, in 2023 to 24, we worked with Evie and Boromi to deliver a pilot of 3 of our venues, and it was so successful and positively impacted on families in our community that we extended this to all 16 of our Leicestershire library sites, who now have the pop-in play libraries. And the language literacy and social skills and confidence building, they're all areas of development that we're able to support through the library offering space. But the play element also enables all of these to happen as they learn to explore, relate to others, set their own goals and solve problems. And the Boromi bags really provide that extension to the library offer, and it delivers on outcomes as well. Boromi and Evie provide a high quality resource that's ready to go, and they've got the background, research and data, staff training that was available, marketing materials that allow customers to access and enjoy, as you can see for some of the fantastic quotes within Evie's presentation. And just moving on, we do all of this for data collection and feedback, as you all do. We want that engagement. We want to know what we're successful at, and we want to know where we're going to move forwards and where we need to change. I've mentioned we're an NPO funded organisation, so this has also allowed us to explore engaging with external partners to deliver early years outcomes. So I'm going to hand over to my 2 colleagues. Rachel will tell you about the Wriggly Readers Festival, and then Steph will share the Oadby Library Send project. I'll now hand you over to Rachel.
Thank you, Sarah. Next slide, please. So as part of our library's roadmap, as Sarah says, we have a focus on children and family. We are also, as part of Culture Leicestershire, a national portfolio organisation, and we're able to use some of these funds to consult, plan and deliver a project that supports our early years agenda and delivers on the library's connected children's promise. Initial scoping raised ideas for a week of activities in 8 of our libraries. This then grew as we thought more about using these events to celebrate early years and promote activities and resources our library service already offers. We also wanted to embed partnership working and chose to use sort of the festival as an opportunity to deliver early years outcomes, tying in with the EYFS framework and its focus on literacy, language, communication, confidence building and social skills. So now we have a month-long festival named after our regular story and rhyme time sessions in our libraries. It's the Wriggly Readers Festival. We are now halfway through that and it seems to be going well so far. So during the festival, libraries are showcasing books and resources, and we're promoting our regular early years sessions, including our story times and stay and play, Boromi, and so on. Next slide, please. So throughout October, we have events and activities planned in libraries and have a social media campaign to supplement and promote our early years offer. We're posting something every day and highlighting different parts of the festival and our early years offer, including Boromi's Pop and Play libraries, Book Trust Storytime Prize, and other early years support offered by teams within Leicestershire County Council, for example, Healthy Tots, and as Sarah said, the Family Learning, who offer those sort of family learning sessions, including story times. So libraries are also running a raffle and giving away prizes to children aged 0 to 5. The aim of the giveaway is to firstly gift children with books and resources that they can take home and enjoy with their families, and secondly to help increase our issues. So for every 4 books borrowed, children get 1 entry into our prize draw. We've been lucky enough to source multiple prizes, including books and family tickets to see the Curve Theatre's production of Charlie Cook's favourite book. So on top of this, we have 8 libraries who are having special events run by creative practitioners. These include creative messy pen storytelling workshops, drop-in session for a model role-play village, dance workshops, and edible nature printmaking sessions, which are in a couple of weeks. So we've already had some of these events and they're proved really popular. All events are free and are for children aged 0 to 5. We do still ask for families to book tickets just so we can manage capacity, with each event having a maximum of 15 child spaces. We have found that for such a young age, this number works best for the events planned and the spaces in our libraries. As part of our work for the festival, we've also created a digital booklet, and this features tips, information, events lists, and more. It's all been included in our specially created webpage and includes further resources from departments within Leicestershire County Council who also support early years and their families. Next slide, please. So partnership, as Sarah said, it's been key in our work recently, and especially in creating our Wriggly Readers Festival. We've worked closely with other teams within Culture Leicestershire and Leicestershire County Council and are building partnerships with new creative practitioners, people like Healthy Tots, Family Hubs, obviously Boromi, Bookstart and more, all with the aim of engaging early years and their families and encouraging them to visit our library and take advantage of all we have to offer. So lots of time and effort has gone into creating this, but we are hopeful that the festival will be successful and will be a yearly occurrence. We'll be gathering evaluation feedback both for Arts Council England, as the events are funded through our MPO work, and also for our own internal case study. Obviously, if anyone does want to know more, please check out our website. We have got links and stuff which we'll send you, or do get in touch with us as well. Now over to my colleague Steph, who will be sharing details of another MPO project which focuses on early years.
Hello everybody. So as Rachel said, I'll be talking about the OB Multisensory project, which is one of our MPO funded creative expressions and libraries stream. So a main ambition of our MPO funding has been to commission specific creative activities that engage local communities and that have a real co-created output. OB libraries were utilised by families with children of an early years age, and we were really keen to enhance their engagement and our offer in this area. Through consultation with library staff, it was identified that the project should focus on the development of a multisensory resource, which could then support children's learning through exploration and play. Following a competitive tender process, we commissioned Sophie Mahon, who is a multidisciplinary artist with lots of experience working in participatory art with a range of audiences, to develop and deliver this project. Next slide, please. Sophie developed a series of workshops themed around sound, light, colour and touch. They encourage child and parent interaction and were set up in a free-flowing, fun space, allowing children to freely explore. Activities range from musical tables, sensory floor pads, texture play trays and more. They were encouraging cause and effect learning, concentration, movement, and exploration of the senses. We were keen to engage families who were not current library users and visitors, and to achieve this, we established a partnership with our internal Children and Family Service, and we organised outreach sessions at a local early years hub. This was a huge success and resulted in around 20 families signing up to join us for the workshops that were taking place actually in the library, and many of those weren't members. We also developed dedicated special educational needs sessions with smaller numbers and with more consideration of sensory impact for children who are easily overwhelmed. Overall, we held 17 workshops with over 150 participants attending. Next slide, please. Early years as an audience posed a really interesting question to us. How do you co-create and co-design with that age group? Sophie rose to this challenge. Her submission didn't actually include a proposed final output. Instead, this was to be decided following the workshops with the families. She observed how the children interacted and played with the different activities, and at the end of each workshop, she captured feedback from parents on what they thought their children enjoyed. Alongside this, she consulted with library staff about health and safety considerations, the practicalities of the different elements, and how they would work within the library space. Bringing together all these observations and feedback, Sophie devised the idea of a multi-sensory area that would use elements of the projection and the kind of a den-like feel that were really successful elements in the workshops. The space is going to include a magnetic board for mark making and story development, a light box for tracing and working with perspex shapes, a player with bespoke soundscapes as well as stories, and a multi-sensory wall with cogs, slow noise, musical instruments, and busy board doors and latches. The bespoke nature of this project meant a huge amount of consideration has gone into the sustainability and longevity. Individual elements are replaceable to limit obsolescence if one or two elements fail over time, and have undergone robust testing for safety. We are delighted with the final outcome, which is actually being installed on Thursday, and we can't wait to see it in situ. We hope you agree that this is a fabulous example of partnership working, open-mindedness, and commitment to genuine co-creation and co-production of space. And if you have any questions for Sarah, Rachel, or myself, now is the time.
Thank you so much, all of you. That was such a fascinating presentation, and I love the way that all the elements are linking together, and some fantastic things. I think we all want to go and live in your dream station. It looks amazing. So thank you for that. Really brilliant, and thank you so much for keeping to time. And a couple of people have asked about the recording, so yeah, we'll be sending a link to the recording afterwards. And we've got a few questions coming to the chat. Please do keep putting your questions in the chat, and we'll ask them all at the end to all of the participants today. So thank you again to Sarah, Steph and Rachel for a brilliant presentation, and to Evie beforehand. Julia, you've got your hand up. Julia, do you want to ask a question? Okay, we'll ask Julia to put her question in the chat then. And I will now, it's my pleasure really to introduce you to colleagues from Kent County Council. I've heard a lot about playgrounds over the last few years, so really excited to hear more and to share more with all of you. So I'm delighted to be introducing you to Lucy Keeley, who's the playground lead for culture and creative economy in Kent County Council, and Sarah Bedingfield, who's the playground lead for Kent Libraries, and they'll be telling you all about their fantastic playground project. So over to you two.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you for inviting us to be with you today. Emma, could you share our slides, please? Thank you. So we're going to be talking to you today about playground. Can we have the next slide, please? Thank you. So Playground is a pioneering programme of high quality creative engagement for babies and young children, delivered by Kent County Council's Culture and Creative Economy Service and Libraries, Registration and Archives working in partnership. We are an Arts Council England NPO, a national portfolio organisation, and we're currently in year 2 of that agreement. Playground recognises that the first years of life are crucially important for the development of the child's brain, and that the first 3 years are the most critical in having lasting impact upon a child's ability to learn and succeed at school and in life. Playground aims to ensure that all young children and their families in Kent can realise and share their own creativity. Experiencing high quality creativity transforms lives. Playground promotes the importance of creativity between parents, carers and their children, and the positive impact that it has, from strengthening parent-child bonding and supporting social and communication skills to the part that they play in child development and building closer communities. It's a core principle of the programme that Playground engages with and can be accessed by the widest possible and most diverse range of children and families. And this is currently being achieved by working in Kent family hubs, refugee settings, a diverse range of summer festivals, and a special school with children with additional needs, and 3 multi-agency specialist hubs, in addition to delivery across the county in our network of libraries. We have a range of national and international partners, including from Scotland, Finland and Norway, all with a shared vision and ambition to ensuring all young children have access to the highest quality of creative activity to share with their family. Next slide, please.
So I'm going to give this a go. I keep jumping in and out and it keeps hoofing me out of the call. But anyway, so thank you for having us. So there are a number of strands of Playground. So the baby playground, which was how it all started.
Oh, I think we've lost Sarah. I'll pick up from here then. So as Sarah was saying, there are a number of strands of Playground. Baby Playground has free weekly sessions for babies aged 0 to 18 months and their carers. Each session is limited to 10 babies, and we have 3 artists present for each of the sessions. And the sessions comprise of artist-led sensory activities, which are shaped individually in each session in response to the reactions of the babies and children. Sessions are non-verbal, making them easily accessible for families for whom English is not their first language. A range of instruments and materials are used to support the sessions in line with our commitment to environmental sustainability. All the materials are recyclable and they're all items that families will have around the home. Family Playground are free sessions for the whole family to enjoy and tend to be scheduled for weekends. And in the summer, we work with cultural partners to take Playground to existing multicultural festivals across Kent for all families to enjoy. And libraries are an ideal venue for Playground, being accessible, welcoming spaces that families from all backgrounds are comfortable to access. Could we have the next slide, please? So we also have specialist sessions of creative and multi-sensory activities, especially designed for children, parent carers, teachers and support staff in special educational needs and disability settings, supported by artists from a range of disciplines, including music, visual arts, drama and dance. And this is a particular area of interest for Playground and one that we are very keen to develop. We're exploring the potential of an action research project to evidence the powerful and transformational impact Playground has on families with babies and young children with additional needs, and how we can work with partners to ignite significant positive change in the quality of creative learning and engagement opportunities for all young children with additional needs. I'm just going to check if Sarah has been able to join the call again.
I have been in and out about 3 times since I went out the first time, but am I next?
Can we have the next slide, please, Emma?
Okay, so here's Playground in numbers. As you can see, quite impressive and quite a mouthful to all the venues that
Okay, so yes, as we can see, Playground sessions in numbers.
Sorry. Oh. I'll leave it to you, Lucy. Sorry, everyone.
Okay, no problem. So as you can see, here are Playground in numbers. These are from our year 1 MPO, so 23, 24. You can see our youngest participant is just 8 weeks old. And you can see the venues that we are delivering in and the number of sessions and participants. And Playground is clearly having a positive impact on attitudes towards accessing creativity for children and babies and on creative engagement in the home. And when surveying families for the most recent evaluation report, 62% of the participants reported that Playground had changed their views about creative play, and over 4 out of every 5 adults indicated that it had challenged them to engage with their child in a different way. Next slide, please. So Playground Presents is our creative programme of work that tours to libraries and community venues. And earlier this year, in 2 of our libraries in Gravesend and Dartford, we presented First Light, which is a beautiful sound and light installation co-created by Playground lead artist, theatre maker Daniel Nadafi and Marty Longthorne. We're very excited that our next tour will take place in November with OVO, which is a version of The Ugly Duckling from internationally renowned Norwegian dance company Dibwick Dance, and we're delighted that we will be able to present this in 4 libraries across Kent. Next slide, please. So this month we're going to be launching Digital Playground, and this has been supported by Kent Family Hubs and includes a series of films and podcasts created by playground artists to inspire creative activity at home, enabling even more families to engage with Playground. So 6 of the films are based on each of the senses, and the remaining 4 podcasts are focused on our work with children with additional needs. All the content that has been developed for Digital Playground will be uploaded onto our new website within the next few weeks. Next slide, please. So Playgrounding is our professional development programme, and we currently have 20 playground artists, all of whom are actively engaged in playgrounding. And it's a training programme for artists, library, venue staff, support workers, early years professionals, and it's supported by international mentors. And the impact of this is upon the artists is evident from the number who have successfully secured Arts Council investment to create their own work for early years and gained work with other early years creative companies whilst continuing to work as part of our playground team. We also work with staff across Kent libraries to further their personal development, delivering sessions on storytelling, reflections on diversity and unconscious bias. Next slide, please. And then just a little bit on our future plans. So our plans include a Playground Early Years Festival in 2026, celebrating the creativity of babies, young children and their families. And this will feature a programme of the most inspiring national and international work created with, by and for young children and their families. And we've just started conversations around potentially developing an early years book festival too. The festival will include an event that will bring together families, academics, early years practitioners, artists and decision makers together to increase understanding and awareness of the need for all young children to have access to the highest quality of creative activity. Ultimately, the event will aim to ignite positive and powerful change to make this ambition a reality. And then later this year, we will be bringing together partners who share our commitment and ambition to ensuring equality of access with, by and for very young children and their families, to explore how we might collaborate with the aim to influence future early years policy and practice. And then the next slide is just a thank you, and do get in touch if you'd like to know more. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lucy, and thank you, Sarah, as well. I'm sorry, it's always such a nightmare when you can't get in, especially, and it always happens when you're about to speak. So I'm sorry about that, but thank you for valiantly trying, Sarah, and we much appreciated that amazing presentation. And it looks like you've got such exciting plans coming up, really, really powerful, exciting plans. So I'm going to hand over to another Lucy. I think you either have to call Sarah or Lucy to be on this call today. But so Lucy Banks is from ASCEL, who lead on the Children's Promise, and Lucy is going to chair this session of questions. So do put some questions in the chat if you've got any questions for any of the speakers this afternoon.
Lovely, thank you, Sarah, and again thank you so much for having me here. I was just listening to all those with such joy because there's such different approaches to creative engagement in the early years, and lovely to hear. I've seen we've got one question in the chat from Deborah, who says, and I think this was during Leicestershire's presentation, how do you ensure that the right resources end up back in the right packs after use? Good practical question there.
I'm happy to respond to that. So Evie has provided training for us, and she engages with our supervisors and our frontline staff. So the packs have what the resources are inside, so we know how to repack them. Although our parents are fabulous and actually do put everything back in the resource pack, we also have a fail safe about that as well, that we have some spares in case something does go astray or little people's pockets. So yeah, we have training to begin with, a list of resources so we know what to repack, great parents, and then backup pieces so we always have full packs that customers can enjoy.
Thank you, Sarah. Were there any other questions in the room? Unfortunately, I can't see everyone's screens here. Oh, we've got a hand up from Steph.
Yeah, I was just, it's a question for the other Lucy. I was just really interested in the light installation was co-created and co-developed within Culture Leicestershire, and particularly within participation, which is where I sit. We were all about the co-creation. So I was just wondering how you went about that.
First Light is not it's not a playground piece as such. It was developed by our lead artist Daniel Nadafi, and so it was originally commissioned by the Barbican. So it went there first, and then we were able to present it as part of Playground Presents last month.
Okay, thank you.
So, Lucy. Are there any other hands up in the room? I'm aiming that question at Emma because unfortunately I can't see the rest of the room.
No hands up at the moment, but feel free to put any more questions in the chat, or do put your hands up if anyone's got any.
We do have another really interesting question here. Could each of the panel give advice about the best and most effective ways to measure outcomes? Shall we go in order? Evie, would you be happy to answer that one first?
Yeah, definitely. So we do this in a number of ways across our kind of schools programme, in a slightly different way to our kind of newer pop-in play library community play libraries. But tools that we use are like family kind of baseline and end of year surveys and focus groups, as well as like within our community play libraries, actually, we use parent postcards that are kind of prepaid postcards that families can complete. There's a little space to draw a picture, and there's a little space to kind of write about what you did. And there's a little prompt at the bottom that says, this made me feel because. So that's a really lovely way that we've been able to capture child voice as well as from families. So they are kind of within the settings that families can freely pop in the letterbox or give to the library setting to send back. We also have been trialling, so we've, in the community play libraries, a drop-in family survey for managers to complete, which has worked really well in Leicestershire and within other settings that we're working with as well, where we have space for kind of 10 families, and at any time a setting manager can kind of engage in a conversation or kind of capture that feedback with that one specific family, which for us has given more data than our online feedback form. Actually, we've had a bit of trouble with response rates, which is an ongoing challenge. So I think we have a lot of different measures that we use, and then we kind of cross correlate and triangulate like various data points. But in terms of family outcomes, yeah, there are core kind of drop-in family surveys and the postcards in the community. We've got our family working focus groups, and then also our online form, and then the baseline end of year and start of year for our schools programme.
Oh, thank you, Evie. And yes, so important to capture the child voice. Really good to hear that.
Young children, it poses a really interesting challenge, doesn't it? But really...
yeah, definitely. No, the postcard's a good idea. Sarah, can I ask the same question to you, Sarah Coulson? Yeah, advice about the best and most effective ways to measure outcomes.
So we work across departments, so we have lots of different ways of measuring. I would say we have 4, and what we're currently doing is we're working on a data strategy, and that's to look at how we can improve it and be more effective. So work in progress, but the 4 we currently use, we have got qualitative information through our case studies about anecdotal comments and responses. Our second way is that we have our library core data gathering, so it's our usage, our issues, our foot counts. Our third way is we always put outcomes against our projects, so again it's attendance. Currently we are using Illuminate for our MPO as gathering, and then we also have our area demographics as well that we build in. So we've got 4 key areas, and our data gathering sessions are for how we can really make sure that our data is current, relevant, and it's pulling together the information we need to achieve our outcomes.
Thank you, Sarah. And finally, you, Lucy, best and most effective ways to measure outcomes.
Yes, so at each of our sessions, we have a moment of reflection at the end where our artists are able to talk to our families and capture anecdotal evidence and feedback. All the sessions are baby-led, so artists respond to babies. And then throughout, we also are working with an independent evaluator, and we have been throughout the whole of Playground's time. So we have an independent evaluator from the School of Psychology at the University of Kent. So she is constantly capturing and evaluating. Obviously, we're also, there's a requirement in terms of illuminator, Sarah mentioned. So there is this idea of surveying, but obviously it's quite difficult to survey babies. And then we bring all of that together and against our evaluation framework to capture the data that we need to evidence our outcomes.
Lovely, thank you. Yeah, definitely. Those anecdotes in particular with children are so important, aren't they? I've just seen we've had another question in on the chat. Is there a cost to libraries for participating in Boromi? That sounds like it might be one for you, Evie.
Yeah, there's actually a couple of questions on funding. There's one that's just come in about how these projects are funded, so it may be that others might want to chip in as well after. But the short answer is yes, there is a cost. We are a non-profit, and we have worked really hard to make sure that the model is flexible enough to be able to work with very small settings up to very high footfall community settings as well, from half packs with only like 4 bags on a table through to kind of much larger setup displays. We'll circulate information kind of following this call about pricing, but in terms of Leicestershire libraries and how these were funded, and Sarah, you might want to jump in after me, but that was through Family Hub's funding on that occasion. But we've got we work with a number of community settings that kind of fund in different ways, whether it's grant funding or revenue from other channels as well. I'm not sure there's anything you want to add to that, Sarah, in terms of the funding picture with.
I think just to add to the funding, we all know how tight budgets are, and we all know there's priorities. And really, the only advice I can give is you've got to know what your outcomes are and who your partners are and what you're trying to achieve and why. We've said throughout our presentation that we're working in partnership for outcomes for the whole community. So when you put it into that context, so with our Family Hubs funding, it was fantastic. They could see the outputs, they could see how we could deliver that in libraries. So it was better for them to transfer budgets so that we could deliver rather than trying to utilise that budget in a different way. And I think really that's just that kind of that angle of making sure you've got the right partners, making sure you're heard, but also having confidence in what you're delivering.
Thank you. And another one about Boromi play bags. Susan has asked, have you ever loaned the Boromi play bags to library customers? Do you feel this would work?
This is
I don't know who wants to chip in there.
This is a really great question and very poignant for us at the moment, because within our library, within our initial pilot, our first pilot with the 3 libraries, they were based in situ. But with our second pilot, we had the purpose of that was to explore the play libraries within a diverse range of community settings, from food banks through to cafes and leisure centres and libraries and lots of different settings. And we had a real mixed bag of settings that wanted to loan home and wanted to keep in situ. The short answer is we work in a bespoke way with a setting to provide play bags to best meet the needs of the setting and the families that setting is serving. So yes, they can be taken home. Our school model is take home. So it can work in a variety of ways. But within the Leicestershire pilot, that was just in situ based.
Thank you, Evie. And this is a good question from Rebecca here. For local authorities that don't have access to MPO funding, are there any tips for small steps to take to increase early years creative engagement and play opportunities within public libraries? Has anyone got any useful tips for those without the MPO funding?
I feel like I should take on this one. So obviously quite a lot we've done with the Wriggly Festival is, yes, we have our events, but we've done lots of in-house things as well. So we've got a range of libraries and library assistants who are very creative and willing to engage. And some of them have come up with ideas for in-house activities that they might set up and run. So it's always just worth seeing if any other people have got any other ideas. So some of the storytelling sessions that we had a creative practitioner come in and lead on it, is something that potentially could be done by an in-house library services assistant or someone. Quite simply, it was just literally reading a story, doing some extra, it was like an expanded story time session, but with extra props and crafting and things like that, which some of you probably already do.
Just wanted to add into that. Ask. There's no harm in asking. Reading agency publishers are really keen for their material to go out to early years. They see the benefits. Local partners, you never know what someone else is wanting to achieve, and there's a way, even if it's a smaller scale than what you would like, it's a starting point to pilot and then to look to how you can grow. So always ask.
I would totally agree with that. And I think partnership is absolutely key. You know, there are so many opportunities that can be had through building those partnerships. So never think that something's impossible, because together you can achieve lots.
Yeah, that's a great tip. And I think to remember libraries' USP as well is the incredible reach that we have, which is very, very appealing to partners. So I think asking often does result in a yes. Were there any other tips before we move on? Tips for those without MPO funding? Let's go to the next question then. We've got, if we're unable to get artists in, what tips would you give us librarians to be able to lead a sensory playground? Who'd like to take that one?
I'm hovering because I'm thinking Steph is perfect.
Oh, I was just thinking.
I don't want to put her on the spot.
Well, what I wanted to say was, I don't know if this is really acceptable, but Pinterest is your friend. Utilize. There's so much out there. Just search, and there's loads of things out there that you can make, like maybe Play-Doh for pennies, and that kind of thing. Make sure you've got your risk assessments in place, obviously, but there's so much out there. Just jelly, you know, it's such an easy thing that you can have out there. Just search for it. There's loads of answers out there, but feel free to email me or Sarah or Rachel, and we'll be able to definitely get you some ideas to get the creative juices flowing. And again, like Sarah said, ask your LSAs, because like Rachel was saying, they could do that story time session. We have done that like 10 years ago probably. We did exactly that. The library assistants the library used to work at, we're going on a bear hunt, and we went around the library and we had the foil and everything, and it was all cheap, very, very cheap, but you just need a little bit of creativity.
Love that suggestion. Pinterest, definitely.
Pinterest. I know, I was like, I'm allowed to say Pinterest.
And any other thoughts on tips for librarians to lead a sensory playground if they're not able to get artists in to support with that?
Just want to add into that SEND is something that is so varied, so it's really great to have a bit of that knowledge and background, see some of the research that's been done, and ask those questions for people who've delivered before. We all like to piggyback and not have to reinvent the wheel, so it is, again, there are some amazing SEND projects out there, so do a little bit of research beforehand to find out which elements you want, and the realistic element of what can you deliver to a small group. So I think that's the other tip. Project plan and do that due diligence for the background research. And we are all great about being transparent and sharing information. So get in touch, then we're all happy to share whatever we can to support growth across libraries.
And don't be afraid to age down. That may be the top tip. Things that you might not think are suitable for 8-year-olds. You're thinking, oh, it's not. You know, they will do things that you think could be suitable for 2-year-olds and have a great old time doing it. So just don't be afraid to completely age down, go younger, and let them have those experiences they might have forgotten about that they had when they were toddlers. And just, yeah, there's nothing wrong with being a little bit young sometimes.
Thank you, Steph. Sarah, have we got time for one more question?
I think we have.
We've run out of time.
I think we have got time for one more, if that's okay.
One more quick one then.
I just wondered that just before we go on to the last one, because you've got 4 minutes. And Lucy Keough, I wondered if you've got any thoughts about that previous question as well.
around if you haven't got access to artists.
Yeah.
With Playground, artists are integral to Playground. However, saying that, obviously playgrounding provides us with an opportunity in terms of how we work with library staff. Library staff support sessions. So the idea is that the artists will influence the practice of the library staff in the same way that library staff influence an artist practice as well. So there's very much a sharing of skills. The other thing that Playground does is that we do offer training opportunities out to other organisations where our lead artists will come in and work with staff members to develop their skills and knowledge.
Thank you. Sorry, Lucy. One more question.
Thank you. Go for one last one. There's a few, unfortunately, so we won't get around to answering them all. But we are also struggling in getting footfall to our story times at the library. Do you have any advice to encourage or intrigue children and parents to attend? Has anyone got any advice for encouraging children and parents to come along?
So we've started, and I don't know yet, we've not done enough to know whether it's had much impact, but doing regular newsletters emailed out to nurseries and to schools as well. And for the nurseries ones especially, we do make a point of signposting to our Wrigglies, and we ask nurseries to send that information on to their families, and also encourage nurseries to come along themselves. We also work with the early years improvement team, and they work a lot with childminders. So they pass on that information as well to try and get childminders maybe to come along. And I've been to some sessions where childminders have with 3 or 4 children joining in. But we have found a difference, especially we're going younger, 0 to 3-year-olds with our storytime sessions, and it's just promotion is the biggest thing. We're doing a lot of that through the Wriggly Readers Festival, promoting, saying on this week, and just reminding them that these Wriggly Reader sessions are on this week, and that seems to have been helping quite a bit.
I think to add in on that, the word of mouth. So we recognise that COVID had an impact, but also as we've seen from some of the reports that over the last few months, for parents as well of early years children, the social isolation, but also the ability to engage with the social group. And it's really key that we keep on having that word of mouth, because sometimes there's resistance to coming into somewhere unknown, and we're perfectly situated as libraries to address that. It's just crossing that boundary. So as Rachel said, we've kind of gone out and done more outreach work so that people make that initial step, and then once they're in, it's been successful, and we'll keep measuring that impact. But yeah, we've noticed a change, and it's due to external influences.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you to everyone. Unfortunately, we've run out of time and indeed slightly overrun, so I'll hastily hand back to you, Sarah.
Well, thanks so much, Lucy. Thank you. Thanks for all the interesting questions in the chat as well. It's always fascinating to see what's coming through the chat in these sessions, and that sometimes there's that going on, and all the information that the speakers are sharing too. So just wanted to say a huge thank you, and just particularly thanking Emma Daniel, who kind of kept everything together, did the tech and shared some of the slides, but also thanks to all the speakers, so to Evie, to Sarah Coulson, to Steph, to Rachel, to Lucy Keeley, Sarah Bedingfield, and of course Lucy Banks. And thanks, Lucy, particularly for chairing that session and gathering up all those questions. So and thanks for everyone for coming, for participating, and have a good rest of your afternoon.